Hi, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. I'm David E. Fields, and I'm joined by my colleague, Carol Williams. Good morning, Carol.
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing outstanding. One of these days, I'm going to remember to say good afternoon since it's actually 12:15 here in the East Coast, but it wasn't this week. So for those of you who are new here, format is very simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. Please let us know you're here because it takes a minute or two sometimes to show up who's here. We know a lot of folks are on vacations and holidays this time of year, so it's nice to see who's here. So post your questions, whatever questions you have, in the chat. And if there are no questions, it will be 3 minutes of consulting best practices, unless there's stuff in the bag. Deidre, has anybody submitted anything that we should answer? Well, look at that. Now she's got a long question. I need help managing a subcontractor relationship. Okay. We are a subcontractor on a project, but we are only the subcontractor because the client has an MSA with a big firm, PwC, and they're required to contract through a firm that has an MSA. Okay, that happens. Now, PwC is starting to try to insert themselves into how we deliver, and they're giving us advice on our presentations. My team is of mixed feelings. Do we need to be deferential to PwC? Can we tell them to shove off? What's the right way to handle this? Okay, well, what do you think, Carol? Can they tell PwC to shove off, or do they need to be deferential to PwC? What do you think on this one?
How about not telling them to shove off since they're the ones with the MSA and the client relationship? Let's not go there. But I also don't think you need to be deferential either. So it's a really great question, and you are not the only one that goes to this situation. In general, I would suggest that you set expectations up front before you sign a contract. As a subcontractor, set expectations with the firm with the MSA to make sure you understand who's going to be responsible for what and what are those roles going to look like, because you are dependent upon the bigger firm to get the work with the client, and they're the ones that have the client relationship. Now, in this case, since you can't exactly go back in time, unless you have a time machine, please let me know. There are some times that I would like to use it. That would be great. I would suggest asking for a meeting with your people that you've been working with at PwC and asking, let's just sit down and have a conversation around roles and expectations going forward, as well as asking, what do you need to see in our deliverables so that you're happy with them, so that you understand what they're expecting to see straight up. And if it's a difference, if there's a gap, then talk your way through it and see what comes of it. David, what do you think?
Yeah, well, this is a funny one. Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Carol. Let's say Nasha had set up expectations at the beginning and said, look, it's our client, and still PwC, big company, blah blah blah, feel like they have all the clout versus whatever size, I don't know what size Nasha's firm is. So if you were in her shoes or one of your peers' shoes and you had set expectations, how would the conversation go? So let's say I'm the obnoxious PwC. I shouldn't have said obnoxious. I'm the PwC person, and I'm saying, look, I don't know if you guys. Let me give you some advice on how to present. What's your comeback to me?
There's two different routes that I think she could go. One of them is to say, great, love to hear your advice, and think, doesn't mean I'm going to take it, but thank you. Right. And you can get some intel into this is how they approach their presentations. Maybe it'll be good stuff that you hadn't thought about before. You never know. Right. There are little nuggets that do come from them for sure. And then the other part of it could be, so let's talk about this, because we've already set up whose role is to do what. And this is going beyond, think of it like a scope creep conversation where they are beginning to encroach into your territory versus their territory. And just make sure that everybody remembers that original conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, makes sense to me. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say, Hey, look, there's learning opportunity for everyone here. You guys, you're PwC. I'm sure we have a ton to learn from you. And you're on this contract because they wanted us. So there might be something for you to learn also. So let's have at it and see what we learn from each other. All right, I like that. Let's see.
We
Michael
do have a
Aronson.
question in the chat. Yeah.
All right,
Michael.
go ahead. You go ahead and read it, and I'll
All right.
whatever it is.
So my question at this point, having a tough time finding an engagement currently. Most of my affiliate partners have found new gigs, but I am trying to figure out what to do at this time. Can the two of you suggest different approaches to adapt to a really tough market right now?
Yeah. Michael, one question I have for you is why it's a tough market, or why you're seeing it being a tough market. Because overall, the consulting market is actually running pretty hot right now. The demand for consulting is actually higher right now than it has been, just based on what we can see. Okay, this is not based on an exhaustive data, based on what we can see, talking to just tons of firms. Right now, things are generally good, but there are pockets, and there are pockets that have just been flat out eliminated because of AI, primarily, or some other market conditions. So, what I'm really curious as to why, because that's going to make a difference as to whether you stick with what you're doing and keep pushing, or whether you need to reorient and pivot. Because I think Carol and I can give you some tactics that would work. For instance, if you don't have any work right now, you should take on a pro bono project, not for a commercial institution, not for someone who could pay, but you're just doing it pro bono for a 501c3 or a not-for-profit that you have some passion for, and you can ply your trade, do what you do best for them. That gives you momentum. You're doing something. It gives you something live to talk about with other prospects. So I would be doing that. But tell us your sense of whether you think perhaps you need to change markets, or it's just, I don't know, just where you happen to be at the moment.
Absolutely.
And Carol, I don't know what other thoughts you have on that.
No, you're absolutely right. The other avenue for Michael is to be a instructor and find somebody to start training up in the consulting space in your field. Specifically, if you reach out to a number of universities, especially with the number of online programs, there's something as a way of contributing to up and comers as well in that field.
And take on subcontracting. But you need to be in motion. You want to be working, whether even if it's not great work, which is why pro bono is good. You're not making money, but you're doing great work. Subcontracting, you'll make a little bit less money. You'll be in motion. And based on what Nasha said, PwC hires subcontractors. Actually, I guess that was done slightly differently. So make sure you're also reaching out to what we would call capacity swingmen, right? Or swing people, folks who can demand swing people who can throw some demand your way, because they may be overloaded. And there are a lot of firms right now that have more work than they have capacity to handle. And so being in touch with the market will be important. Let's see what you said. Frankly, for me, it is a combo of age, Houston, trying to get a financial transformation, ERP implementation. So there are definitely people winning ERP work, and you're trying to get a certain type of work. One thing that does make, I may be wrong on this, but one thing that raises for me is, are you trying to get the work you want as opposed to listening to what the market wants? So make sure you are not searching for the person who has an itchy back that you can use your left-handed back scratcher, but because that's what you want to use. Instead, what is the market paying for right now? And yes, a lot of money is flowing onto the IT side, unquestionably, but there's a lot of money flowing elsewhere too. That's my sense. Yep, trying to get subcontracting. Go ahead, Carol.
I would actually say, Michael, do you have an industry niche? Because that in and of itself will help you speak directly to people that are having challenges. And there are some niches that are blowing up for needing to be transformed, revamped, whatever wording you want to use for that, especially in the financial space and financial practices, everything behind the scenes. So definitely having that industry niche will grow the work tremendously, and it
Yeah.
will also help you narrow down who you talk to
Yeah.
instead of being very spread thin across a lot of people. You can get more traction in a narrower
Yep.
market.
Exactly what you said, Michael. Listen to the market. What I said, which is you said that I said, listen to the market. The market will tell you. It never lies, right? It'll tell you where the business is. You just need to be adept at listening to it, and you need to talk to a lot of people. That will help. All right. Right. Yeah. Oil and gas isn't perfect right now. And yes, you're in Houston, but we live in a world where you can work anywhere.
That is
So
correct.
awesome. I don't know if anyone else has responses they want to give to Michael. Put it in there. And do we have anything else that was submitted, Deidre? Is this for me or for you? I can't remember where we are.
Ooh, this is going to be for you. And
Okay.
isn't it great? It is directed to you, David. So let's go. Thank you, Ravi, for submitting your question. So, David, I have an interesting dilemma.
All right.
My firm works in financial services, which is highly regulated, and we have been working closely with a partner who gets us into some clients. 3 weeks ago, our partner revealed that their CFO, who we know and have worked with, was convicted of insider trading a year ago in the US. It puts us in a real ethical bind. They're an important partner and we've been working with them, but insider trading is a big deal in financial services. Any advice?
Oh man, you kidding? I have seen this one time before, so this will make 2 times in 30 years. I saw this with a client who's working with someone on Long Island, New York, that got convicted of either insider trading or embezzling or something like that. Oh my gosh. So that's a tough one. And here's what I think. First, you need to send a note to your clients, right? Because it has been made public, it sounds like. And Deidre, can you put that back up on the screen for a moment? I want to understand the exactly 3 weeks ago. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you. So this was revealed recently, which is kind of strange. So you need to let your clients know. You send them a note. It's not something we were aware of, obviously, and we hold ourselves to the highest standards. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you have to send that out. It also looks to me like if that was released 3 weeks ago, the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be very telling. I cannot imagine that their board would allow them, the CEO, to stay. And so give it 3 more weeks, and because they're going to have to be a board meeting, and you know that they are doing that. If the CEO is ousted, then you're kind of fine. And if the CEO is not ousted, then you're going to have to cut ties with that partner, because there's just no way for you to now that you know, to continue working with them and preserve your reputation. That's my sense. Carol, I don't know if you've seen this before. Like I said, I've seen this once before.
I have not seen this specific thing before, but just in general, when it comes to reputation risk management, is basically what you are doing right now. Definitely transparency is key and being upright, upfront with your clients. Now, when you're just finding out, you need to be clear with them that you did not know about this, that this was going on, and that as soon as you know what the outcome is with the client and what goes on with the CEO, you're going to be taking the appropriate action.
Yep.
As long as your clients are aware that you're going to be proactive and that you are being proactive and watching the situation very clearly. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
Yep. So good luck on that one. And we've had our 15 minutes. Olga, I see the question from you and John. You had a good question to Michael. Olga, we will answer yours first next week. We will jump right on that next week. It's an interesting question. In the meantime, thank you for all of you for spending time with Carol and with me. On the off chance you are not connected with us on LinkedIn, look, there you go. Make sure you're connected to Carol and to me so that we can communicate with you via LinkedIn and all of those sorts of good things. And if you don't receive our articles every week, look at that. Thank you, Deidre. Make sure you subscribe so you get the articles and you get to learn stuff and laugh at the silly illustrations. And what else? Oh, and make sure, I think most of you who are coming probably have Monday Live in your calendar. But if you happen to be new here or you're watching it on replay, put davidaffields.com Monday Live on your calendar on Mondays, and that way you join us every Monday. And that's it. Thank you so much for being here with us. Have an amazing week. Remember, as always, consulting's about them, the market, as Michael and I were just talking about. So give those folks value and give them kindness. And we will see you next Monday. Take care.
Bye.